taking all in front of us. Head high, how could we know it was all along on the side? We should read between the lines and we're on the right way to go. Head high, we're not alone, no, we are not out of luck. Running for my life. Feel the light. Running for my life.
Yo, what is good, y'all? How goes it? Alright, I think I clicked off of it on that. No, I didn't. What? Is it over? Oh, it's coming up 9:35. Oh, that's like 10 minutes from now. Yeah, notify me. All right, we can play a little bit. It's got a little counter. There was 3 million people watching that splashdown. That's crazy. And that's just on YouTube. I don't even know what it was on Twitch or anything. That was insane. It was so cool. I was like sitting here like, please be okay, please be look. Like I was like, dude, I don't know. I was like afraid something was gonna happen. Happy Friday. What's up? How's it going? Hi, hi, hi. Hello, hello, hello. What up? How's it going? Oh, I was like, why is it not starting? Oh, okay. I updated my drivers. I did all the stuff beforehand, so hopefully it'll be a smooth stream. If we start dropping frames real bad, it's y'all's fault. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. What's up? How's it going? What am I listening to? I put it on like EDM and it's like, what the hell was that? It's doing shaders, so it's gonna lag for a sec. Okay. Okay, if it's laggy, I'm sorry. Hopefully it won't be that bad. Oh my, it's real bad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm dropping frames real bad. I might have to turn my graphics because that. Oh, never mind. It's on low. Oh yeah, we're dropping frames hard, dude. Actually, might have to. Hold on. Hold up. Hold up. Oh yeah, I had a. Hold on one sec, y'all. Let me go to my watch later real quick. Ooh, also I got to show y'all a song I found. Okay, so I was listening to like tight beats. Where's it at? I think it was this one. Oh yeah, this was that. Okay, yeah, I remember this one. This was the chill. I found this. It was like kind of chill, mellow type vibe. And I was like, all right. Okay, no, this isn't the one I wanted to show y'all though. I think it was this one. Yes, dude. Dude, this beat goes hard, dude. I don't know. It's like. I'm telling y'all, I just like listen to tight beats while I'm driving sometimes. And I'm just like, I don't know, dude. Dude, I don't know, dude. This one sounded so good in my truck, dude. I was like, ah. Dude, I would definitely like if somebody like wrote some raps to that, that would go hard. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, anyways, what I was gonna do, what I originally went to that to do was watch a Gray Zone video because there was one I saved. Booster settings.
Gray Zone Warfare is officially in 0.4, which means it's time for yet another settings guide. If you've watched my guides before, you know that I'm going to try to explain to you a good bit of the settings in the game so you have a better idea of how you should set it for your own hardware. If this video helps you, make sure to hit the usual buttons down below, and as always, if you have additional questions, you should check out my Twitch because I'll be live on there streaming drops the day that this comes out, the 31st, along with several days past that, so make sure you tune in there, or you can always ask in my Discord as well, which is the first link in the YouTube description. The Discord has thousands of people in there who are able to help you out with your settings, and it has a help form in there too, so you can see if other people have had the same problem that you have had. Okay, I'm in the game live now, and I just want to cover a quick couple things before we get to the actual meat of it, which is the quality settings. Going into the settings right here, I'd highly recommend that you enable your FPS counter in-game. That way, when you're adjusting settings, you'll be able to see the impact to their performance live. Next, in the graphics tab, we're just going to cover these display options right here. Most of these display options in this section are personal preference. Full screen exclusive actually performed 5% better than windowed full screen in my tests. So if
Full screen exclusive, okay. Apply changes. Okay.
If you need every bit of performance you can get and don't need to tab out all the time, use full screen, not windowed full screen. VSync should only be a concern for you if you are having screen tearing. If you are not noticing screen tearing, don't even bother turning VSync on or considering to use other alternatives like G-Sync. Moving on from the display section, we're going to go down to the quality section and look at global illumination quality. Now in the past, I did say that medium and high here performed very similarly to each other. That was true in the testing that I did back then, but with some scenes that I saw, there was actually a performance impact between medium and high. The problem I have with medium and high global illumination quality, even though I will end up suggesting you run either
everything
high
on
or
low,
medium,
dude. I don't know what else
is
to
the
do.
fact that interior lighting is fairly unstable. On screen now, you're going to see the comparisons between medium, high, and epic global illumination in the interior base here. And yeah, I don't even need to point out how unstable some of the lights are. The global illumination just doesn't really do a good job of keeping things stable in this scene. Even with Epic, you can still see some of those artifacts. Back in 0.3, they added low as a way to disable lumen completely, which is the lighting system they use inside of Gray Zone Warfare. And, well, though that fixes that problem by disabling lumen entirely, it looks really bad. Indoors, it's a complete tonal shift, basically. I really can't recommend using this unless you either really need the performance boost, which is substantial, about 8 to 10% in the situations that I tested. In my opinion, though, I don't think it's worth it. I think if you are performance concerned, you should either run medium, or if you want a bit more quality and stability, go to high. Epic is only for those who can handle the intense performance cost that it has. One more note about global illumination coming from editor me real quick. If you're running Epic, if you decide to use it even with its performance cost, just be wary of any flickering foliage. With the shadowing that's applied to it, there were some situations that I saw where there can be increased flickering that happens. I'll cover this more when I make my DLSS 4.5 follow-up video, so just keep an eye out for that. But for now, if you see foliage flickering a lot, specifically foliage that's affected by the shadowing from Epic Global Illumination, just go back down to high and see if that helps. So to sum it up, for most people, I'd recommend either medium if you're really performance conscious, or high if you just want a bit more image stability and lighting stability. Epic is only for those who can handle the extra performance cost. Moving down to shadow quality, this determines the resolution and view distance of dynamic shadows, along with the detail of those and their softness. Low will get rid of a lot of detail shadowing up close, especially indoors. And obviously that could improve your performance indoors, but it also makes those scenes look worse. To me, medium is a sweet spot as it keeps those shadows, though high is an option if you'd like higher quality shadows at range, along with softer shadows up close. Epic looked virtually identical to me in nearly every scenario, and the scenarios that I found that were different, they were too far away for you to really care, in my opinion. So I would avoid Epic and either keep this at high or medium. Unfortunately, I still can't find any differences with object quality. I'd spent a while just running around big cities like Tiger Bay, or, just locations where I could see really far away to try to find differences with this setting, but I couldn't find any performance impact or visual impact with wherever I set this setting. So feel free to just have this at whatever. I'll be leaving this to Epic. Texture resolution is all about texture streaming and anisotropic filtering. Lower texture quality levels will take longer to stream in textures and will obviously be at lower quality too. At lower quality levels, the textures will also become blurrier when they're displayed at angles that aren't facing directly at the camera. That's the whole
Okay, I'm just doing my own thing. I don't know. I'm barely getting 30 frames. Dude, that sucks. That sucks so bad, man. Where are we at on the Artemis thing?
Continuing to test out every bit of Orion.
Coming back to Earth, 7 miles a second.
When humanity sets big goals, we can bring together genius from around the world.
You have the best people on planet Earth putting this vehicle together.
That's what's up.
To innovate for the benefit of humanity and to inspire the world through discovery.
And here we go.
Yeah, I think it's open, yeah. I think if you just go to the Gray Zone playlist on my channel, you should be able to watch everything. And
main chute deploy.
Their audio went out. Oh, no,
and
it
we
didn't.
have 3 good main chutes.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Oop. I fucked it up. Uh-oh. Where's my task manager?
Moon and brought them
Since I got
home.
this open. Here.
Good evening and welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. I'm Rachel Kraft with NASA Communications. Several leaders to talk about the successful mission. They are Amit Kshatriya, Associate Administrator, Dr. Lori Glaze, Head of the Artemis Programs, Rick Henfling, Entry Flight Director, Howard Hugh, Orion Program Manager, and Sean Quinn, Exploration Ground Systems Program Manager. We'll hear briefly from them and then take questions from here in the room and on the phone. And with that, we'll start with Amit.
Good evening. Yesterday when we were in this room, we told you that the crew would put their lives behind our confidence, and they did. Yesterday in this room, we told you that today belongs to the engineers and technicians who touched this machine, and it does, and their work was good. Welders at Michoud shaped the heat shield and joined the rocket. Technicians at Kennedy packed parachutes, stacked the vehicle, stacked Orion, stacked SLS. Engineers in Bremen, Torino, and across the Alliance built a service module. Workers at Utah cast the boosters. Teams at Stennis fired the engines. Flight controllers in this building in Houston sat console for 10 days straight. It sat silent in the night for 6 minutes while plasma took the signal. Navy divers pulled the crew out of the Pacific in an incredible way. The vehicle spoke for all of them. And at 25,000 feet per second, it said the work was good. As we say in our business, physics votes last. The families of the crew said this week there had been happiness and joy, but also anxiety, wanting to get their loved ones home
anxiety.
safely. I was with them tonight. 4 families sat through those 6 minutes, and their courage is the same as the crew that just came home. Yesterday, Flight Director Jeff Radigan said we had less than a degree of an angle to hit after 250,000 miles to the moon. And their team hit it. That is not luck. That is 1,000 people doing their jobs. You all heard the crew's words during the mission. They were incredibly inspirational. They carried the torch from Apollo through station and around the far side of the moon. Their words belong to them. We'll get to hear from them as soon as they're back here. But tonight belongs to the team that built the machine that they wrote. We talk a lot about what gets in our way. The impediment to action is where we find the way to get to action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This program faced every obstacle an institution could face. The team met each one with work, and tonight is the proof. But that work needs to continue. The path to the lunar surface is open, but the work ahead is greater than the work behind us. It always will be. 53 years ago, humanity left the moon. This time we return to stay. Let us finish what they started. Let us focus on what was left undone. Let us not go to plant flags and leave, but to stay. With firmness in our purpose, with gratitude for the hands who built the machines, and with love for the ones that we carry with us. Welcome home, Integrity. I'll hand it over to Dr. Glaze.
Thank you so much, Amit. So y'all, we did it. We sent 4 amazing people to the moon and safely returned them to Earth for the first time in more than 50 years. To the generation that now knows what we're capable of, welcome to our moonshot. I want to thank our entire team across this nation and around the world who gave every ounce of ingenuity and effort to make. I am so proud of each and every one of you, what you have achieved over the last 10 days. NASA has shown that ambitious goals are worth pursuing and can inspire the world. We are so thrilled to have Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy back here on Earth and safely aboard the USS John P. Murtha. Our team is fired up, and this mission, as we've been talking about, is just the beginning. To all of our new followers out there, please stay tuned. This is the first mission, our first mission to the moon, of many more to come. And we can't wait. Our teams are so ready to get to work on the next missions and explore the lunar surface and bring the world along with us. I'll pass it over to Rick.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you all for your continued interest in this mission. What a truly spectacular day it was for NASA and all of our international partners. This crew has said time and again that they were going for all of humanity, and today we fulfilled that objective by completing their journey and returning them safely to Earth. I've got a few stats for those who are interested, courtesy of the Flight Dynamics Officer in Mission Control. Integrity and her crew of 4 astronauts flew 700,237 miles. We reached a peak velocity of 24,664 miles per hour.
Damn.
We hit our flight path angle target.
That's actually super fast.
0.4%. We flew an entry range of
that's probably like 1/1,000,000th of flight speed or something. Like, I don't even know.
What a tremendous day. Over to Howard.
1/10 or something. I don't even know.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you to the flight control team. What an outstanding job. Wow, what a fantastic day. I mean, we've dreamed as a team of reaching this day, and appreciate Amit's comments. I mean, so many people have worked very hard, tirelessly to get this day. I think this mission has been historic and has demonstrated new capabilities for Orion spacecraft, has taken our crew farther than any crews that have ever gone to the moon and back safely. 252,756 miles. And that is a fantastic feat. We got a lot more to do. And I'm so happy that we get to have this moment, but we're going to have a lot of these moments coming up. And I want to thank the entire Orion team. They have worked tirelessly. They've dedicated many hours. They've committed to excellence and innovated and attacked challenges that we've come up with for both our NASA team, our industry partners, and our European team as well. We did it together. We brought the crew home safely. They deserve a round of applause. It was a terrific day for them as well. And I want to thank the crew. They have been a fantastic inspiration to our teams as well. You've heard their messages. We are so happy they're back on the ground. We can't wait to see them as well. And finally, we've learned a lot from this mission. Number one was bringing the crews home safely, but it's also a test flight. And like Amit said, we have a work ahead of us to be done. We're going to learn from this mission. We're going to look at the data, and we're going to move forward. This is the start of a new era of human space exploration. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Howard. What an incredible end to an incredible mission. I got to tell you, I think I'm trying to pick out the best thing that happened today, and I'll just say that we were sitting in the back room getting ready for this press conference, and Howard gets a call from Reed Weissman, the commander of Integrity, and it was so great to hear his voice and tell us that all the crew is okay, and we can say that we did our mission. We accomplished what we set out to do. I'm very proud of the efforts of the Exploration Ground Systems team that supported both the launch and recovery operations alongside our Navy partners. All the hard work and dedication over the last couple years paid off today, and the team did a great job. Our recovery teams are currently in the process of bringing Orion back on the well deck of the ship, and hopefully within about 4 or 5 hours, it'll be hard down in the back end of the USS Martha. It's good to be NASA. It's good to be an American today. Thank you.
All right, it's time now for questions. We'll start here in the room and take several from the phone. For those on the phone, you can press *1 to get into the question queue, and please limit to one question if you can. We'll start here with Joey.
Thanks so much. Joey Rillett with Reuters, and congrats on a really nice mission. Curious to hear more about how the astronauts are doing, where are they going to sleep tonight, and then also, when do you guys expect to announce the crew for Artemis 3? Thanks.
So the answer to your second question, Joey, is soon. I will not put units on that value, but soon. Rick, you want to talk about the crew, what they're doing?
Yeah, we saw the crew a number of times after they got out of the spacecraft. We saw them on the front porch. Everybody was happy and healthy. I saw Victor as he was sitting on the edge of the helicopter on the flight deck of the ship, and he was smiling and in good spirits. And everything we've been hearing from the surgeons is the flight crew is happy and healthy and ready to come home to Houston.
Hi, Lauren Grush with Bloomberg. Congratulations again. You know, obviously, it's been such a great mission to watch from start to finish, but I guess I'm wondering if you had to categorize, you know, this was a test flight. What would you say is the issue that you feel maybe the most grateful arose during this mission so that you could apply that lesson learned to the next?
Maybe
Like me,
Howard, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I think we're taking a lot of lessons learned. Certainly, learning about how the crew operates a spaceship has been a really great learning experience, and flying and ability for them to test drive for our spacecraft has been good. I think, as we mentioned previously, our pressure control assembly, where we discovered a leakage through the system. I think we learned a lot about that. That is a new finding. Certainly, we're going to go investigate that. We're going to look at that and move forward to make sure that we make some changes if necessary, but we'll get all the data and we'll go forward from there.
Marcia.
Associated Press, Marcia Dunn. The administrator described the crew as great communicators, almost poets. How is, this is going to be a tough act to follow for the upcoming crews soon to be picked. Talk about this crew in particular and what they brought to this that went beyond the scientific and the research and the engineering, please.
I'll just say that this particular crew, they've gotten to know each other so well. So each of them individually are just absolutely amazing individuals. But they, as a group, you could watch them and what they brought as you watch them in Orion over the last 10 days, operating just seamlessly between the four of them. Just the teamwork, the camaraderie, I think they really brought an amazing sense of what we're trying to achieve with this mission. It's the mission for all humanity, a mission for all, and they really did represent that and tried to communicate that. I do know that our entire astronaut corps is spectacular, and so I have no doubt that the next teams will also rise to that level.
Jackie.
Hi all, Jackie Waddle, CNN. Congratulations. Question for Rick. I'm really anxious to hear what that blackout during reentry was like for you. And also just wanted to ask, that splashdown target being less than a mile off is incredible. Can you walk us through if anything, was outside of ordinary? I know we heard on comms there were some sensor issues just before entry interface. Just curious to hear more about that. Thanks.
Sure. So, blackout, there's really no beating around the bush with that. It's a difficult time because the flight control team wants to see data. We want to look at the data. We want to be able to provide input to the flight crew on how to fly their spaceship. And when we don't have data, we're trying to figure out what to do with ourselves. But we knew when blackout was going to start. It started when we expected. We knew when it was going to end. It ended when we expected. And so that gave us the trust that the spaceship was flying itself correctly. As far as some of the cautions and things that came up on the way down, the prop cautions, they were, we think that, again, that was learning of the spacecraft. Some of the the limits are set a little bit tighter than we probably should have had them set, and we dispositioned those and moved on. As far as the comms post-landing, we don't quite know what was going on there, but we worked around it. We had comms with the recovery team, and we safely handed over the mission authority at the right time.
Okay, Josh.
Hi, Josh Denner, space.com. Really excited to hear that the crew is doing well. I'm interested, we saw Victor sitting on the edge of that helicopter once they landed on the ship, and it was great to see them all, walk across the deck. They were set to do an emergency egress test with a ladder, a backpack, I'm wondering if they've performed that yet, how soon they will be performing it, if they have, how it went.
I'm not familiar with an emergency egress test post-landing. Given that this was a test mission, the number one goal was to get the flight crew out of the spaceship as fast as we could, and we weren't looking at any post-landing objectives.
Yeah, we did do, I think, back when we were back on the launch pad, we did, during the CDDT, we did an emergency egress, but that's the only one I'm aware of that is that test. Yeah, but we'll check on it for you.
Eric.
Eric Berger, Ars Technica. Congratulations on making what I know is really hard look easy. It was a beautiful mission. Amit, you said the work ahead is greater than the work behind us. Can you talk about, as sort of NASA rises to these far greater challenges in Artemis 3, Artemis 4, and building the moon base, how important it is for you and the agency to be flying humans in deep space again and sort of to be at an operational cadence? This has to be pretty uplifting to the workforce to put the 50 years of not being back to the moon behind us.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, flight cadence and iteration is the key to reliability and safety. We were waiting to fly this mission for several years. A lot of that was because of the issues we saw during Artemis 1 and making sure we did that the right way, and we tried to make sure the machine was perfect before we flew it. But the real way to do that is to keep iterating, to keep flying, keep learning, keep getting data in the flight environment. So that piece of how we've changed the architecture and demanding that higher cadence is going to be, I would say, mandatory for us to be successful. We need that muscle memory to exist. We need the data to keep coming in, and we need to be able to quickly iterate and change the machine as we learn from it. Everything we learned from Artemis 2, we're going to get right after it, but I would say it's essential.
Okay, Irene.
Irene Klotz with Aviation Week and Space Technology for Amit. What do you think will be your biggest challenge to ensure that this mantle and responsibility of inheriting what Apollo did does not end like Apollo?
I think we've talked about this a little bit before. What the architects of Apollo, Gilruth, von Braun, Siemens, Mueller, what they really wanted to do when they were given the challenge of expanding the range of action to the moon was to learn to live and work in space for a long time. They wanted to do that first. I talked a little bit about this with Rob earlier. I think, and of course, because of the nature of the environment they were in, they were in a race. They achieved their objectives. They were geopolitical as well as technological. But once it was done, it was done. And I think the foundation they wanted to build on is what we went to afterwards. So we wanted to, investigate reusability with shuttle. We did that. We wanted to learn to live in space for a long time with station. We've got to that point now, 25 years of occupation. And now it's interesting. I think where we are with the program is kind of where they wanted us to be before they decided to go do that, to actually enable a sustainable presence, to learn how to live and work there for a long time. So, it's a weird irony of history that, it took that long for us to do that, but we weren't sitting idle while that happened. We developed the capability to have an enduring presence, in space, and now we're going to take advantage of that now that we've reached back to the moon.
Okay, we'll take one more in the room from Ken Chang, and then we'll go take several from the phone.
Hi, Ken Chang from New York Times. I guess for Rick and everybody else, could you talk about what the last 13 minutes were like? There had to have been some anxiety, and what was the moment where you could finally relax, and when did you start celebrating in Mission Control?
Well, certainly there's anxiety. If you didn't have anxiety bringing this spacecraft home, you probably didn't have a pulse. I have a lot of trust in my team. We've got all flight controllers in the room on entry day went through a rigorous training process, and they are the system experts on their respective part of the spacecraft. And So while there's anxiety, there's a lot of confidence because the team is there to do a job, and we've trained well, and we executed well. We all breathed a sigh of relief once the side hatch opened up. That's when we brought the team in. We said a few words with the flight controllers, and then we turned around to the families and waved to the families and gave them a thumbs up. And we all watched as a flight control team as each of the 4 astronauts got out of the spaceship and were hoisted up onto the helicopters. It was a great day.
Okay, we'll take several questions from the phone now. The first one is from Micah Maidenberg with the Wall Street Journal.
Hey, good evening. Question for Lori or Howard. I know it's very, very early here, but any initial thinking about the heat shield performance relative to Artemis 1? And could you walk through how the heat shield will be assessed in the coming weeks and months? Thanks so much.
So I'll just start, and then I'll hand it over to Howard. How's that? Initially, we gathered a lot of data already. Certainly, you saw there were aircraft that were positioned in order to do some imagery and collect data. So we've got some of those data that can be analyzed in the coming days and weeks. We also had divers below the surface that took imaging of the heat shield before it was brought onto the Mertha, so that we could understand exactly what state it's in after it landed.
I like listening to her and Howard. Her and Howard feel like
the data gathering piece of it.
they're
I'm
like
sure there'll be more
actually
once we get on the ship. And then Howard, why don't you talk kind of what the next steps are?
I would say, and Rick too.
Yeah,
Rick sounds like he knows what he. But they seem like they know like a lot of stuff, not just one thing. You know, like they
into the well deck.
They just like know what they're talking about. I guess
right
I don't know.
Like Lori said, we've got underwater divers that are taking pictures. And then after that, once we've inspected that on the ship, we'll transfer back to Kennedy Space Center. We'll have opportunity to look in detail and do scans of the heat shield, and we'll have a lot of good data from that. We also captured a lot of great imagery. Obviously, we haven't had time to digest all that data, but we will in the next several days and make sure we understand if there's anything that happened that was anomalous. But we're very excited. The team is very excited to get that data from both the imagery and seeing it live in person.
Next up is Jackie Mogensen with Scientific American.
Hi, thanks for this. I wanted to follow up on one of the earlier questions about the astronauts. I was curious if it might be possible to tell us a little bit more if we know about what the astronauts will be doing in their first days back on Earth, you know, what their first meal might be or activities with their families. Thanks so much.
Well, the top priority is going to be to get them promptly back to their families here in Houston. As far as the specifics, I'm sure each of the crew members has something special planned with their families, and that'll be the priority, is for them to take some time and spend with their loved ones.
Yeah, I'm not sure we answered it, but we do anticipate them arriving back here in Houston 12 to 24 hours after splashdown, so that would be between 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening tomorrow.
Next on the phone is Jeff Faust with Space News.
Good evening. I wonder if you can talk through what the processing of the Orion spacecraft is going to be now that it's back. What point do you sort of extract all of the lessons learned from the mission and start applying them to Artemis 3 in order to have that mission ready to go launch in about a year's time? Thanks.
Yeah, you know, we will have what we call a quick initial 30-day report that we will put together. Every team will be doing their due diligence and analyzing all the data we have. The crew module will get transported back to Kennedy Space Center. Sean's team, Exploration Ground Systems, is going to decontaminate.
I watched Apollo 13 the other night. Man, that's such a good movie, dude.
And so we'll be working through that. In the meantime, we'll be pulling hardware off the boat in parallel with other activities, and when we get back to Kennedy Space Center. We've got about 286 components we're going to reuse in future missions already, and then we're going to look at other components and determine if we can reuse those as well. A lot of work, not only on the hardware